and bring our guest. I'll quickly introduce him, and then we will hear more from him right after the break. So if you can, bring on our guest, Dr. Eddie Conner.
Hey.
Wow. Well, great evening. Welcome to We Got Issues on 910 a.m., the Superstation. We are so excited, Dr. Conner, to have you with us again. When I tell you, you were one of the most phenomenal guests that we had on the show, talking about your book. And when I tell you, you guys, these books right here, Dear Queen, volume number 1, and Dear Queen, volume number 2. When I tell you, as a woman, when you read what he has written about us in these books, it just makes you feel so good. And it really makes you say, you know what? Chivalry is not dead, and we are queens. Regardless of what society try to say about us, we are queens. But on today, we're excited for him to introduce his newest book. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information. You know what? I'm going to formally introduce him right after the break because I don't want to leave anything out. So I'll introduce you right after the break. You guys are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 910 a.m. the Superstation. Our guest tonight is Dr. Eddie Conner, and he is talking about his new book, The Mask of Masculinity. Stick with us. We'll be right back. We are back, and you are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 910 a.m. the Superstation. We're here today with Sabrina and Gloria, and I am your host, Chrisette Ellis, and our guest on today is Dr. Eddie Conner. He has been a guest with us before, and we're so excited to bring him back again to talk about his newest book, The Mask of Masculinity. So before we talk about his book, let me just give you a little bit of his highlights. He has a extensive bio. When you're super bad all day long, trust me, it's pages and pages. So I'm just giving you a little snippet of who he is. Empowering people to overcome obstacles and walk in their unique purpose is the real life message shared by Dr. Eddie Conner, who is a survivor of stage 4 cancer. He transparently shares his journey of overcoming cancer as a spokesman for the American Cancer Society. Dr. Connor is an international speaker, college professor, and conference host of Vision Summit. As the founder of Dr. Eddie's Academy, he facilitates master classes on faith, identity, relationships, and speaking training sessions. He also served as the president of the National Entrepreneurs Association of Michigan. He is the author of 13 best-selling books, and I'm sure this is going to be number 14. Okay, he has been featured on some of everywhere. Okay, ABC, BET, CBS, Ebony, Fox, Jet, Lifetime TV, NBC, PBS, the Steve Harvey Show, the Tom Joyner Show, and the list goes on and on. So when I tell you, we are so thrilled, Dr. Connor, to have you with us on today. Come on, Michael, give him a big round of applause for being on We Got Issues on today. Well, Dr. Connor, again, welcome to We Got Issues. So bring us up to date since you were on our show a few months ago. Tell us what you've been doing.
Well, I have to say, of course, it is what a tremendous honor to be with you all, amazing queens. Yourself, Lady Chrisette, Sabrina Monday, even on a Tuesday, Gloria, letting the glory hit you. And y'all got more frequent flyer miles than the airline will allow. So I need to travel with y'all one day. The first time I'm a guest, but the second time I'm family. So
that's right.
I appreciate the honor.
That's right.
To be invited back. This is my 14th book, and I really wanted to write a manual for manhood and development, because a lot of times we're preparing women for unprepared men. And when we really look in our life, especially through the culture today, we're talking a lot about mental health more. We're talking about masculinity and redefining who it is that we are. And not only are we maneuvering through a pandemic, but I think we also find ourselves in a mandemic, because there really is an assault on masculinity in this country, which us as men have even put ourselves in the precarious situation. And I think oftentimes masculinity and vulnerability oftentimes can't coexist in the same space. It's generally deemed as femininity. And so I really wanted to put masculinity under the microscope and really take off the mask, which is the prefix, the spelling prefix or the pronunciation prefix of the word masculinity, and really help us to heal from our trauma and our past as well.
Wow, that is so powerful, so powerful. So how long did it take you to write this book?
It really took me a couple of years to write this book, and I knew that I was supposed to write this even a little bit more sooner than I did. I procrastinated a little bit on it, and I knew that to write this book, I had to go to a deeper place of vulnerability. I had to dig deep into the cancer crisis that I went through, my father being absent in my life, the bitterness that I had, the trauma of what it is that I have experienced, my hurts, my pains, my identity, my masculinity, all of the things that we do to cloak ourselves, to wear this S on our chest. But it doesn't always mean that we're Superman. Sometimes it doesn't even mean that we're successful or strong. Sometimes it means we're sad and suffering in silence. And so I really wanted to silence the pain and the shame, but by really giving voice to our struggle and really unwrapping the whole aspect of what vulnerability really is. Vulnerability is not weakness for a man. Vulnerability is really strength personified.
Right. Wow, that's so powerful. And Dr. Connor, this is such a rich conversation, and I think it is so needed. I've never really heard anyone address that. Not that it hasn't been addressed before, but I just think that this is an issue that absolutely needs to be addressed over and over and over again. We have a couple of callers already on the line. Marathon, are you still there?
We're doing
good.
Marathon, thank you for calling.
Yeah, I know y'all the ladies with issues, but I'm gonna call you the jet set girls. But I must say this: whatever lineup I have of the ladies, it's always a good show. I can say that. I had a question for the doctor.
Okay.
as a man, as we get older, do you find it harder to make friends with other men?
That's a good question. I think it can be
a trying time of trying to find friends. The New York Times said the relationships that have been hit hardest in the pandemic are those male friendships, because generally our friendships are based around a sporting event. Generally, our friendships are based around going out and all of those things. And when all of that was shut down, what did we really talk about? We didn't really have real tough conversations about, what's really going on in your life, and mentorship and many of those things. We always had surface conversations. And, I think a person who would have friends must show themselves friendly. I also think we have to put ourselves in places, whether it's going to workshops, whether it is reaching out. One thing that we hate to do a lot of times as men is reach out, is ask for help, is seek support, because it can be castigated and categorized as something that is weakness. And so I think we just have to be more. We have to be more prepared. We have to be more receptive and responsive to creating intentional relationships, giving somebody a call, a brother who you may not have talked to in some years or whatever the case may be, sending somebody a text, just calling and say, hey, I'm checking on you, brother. How you doing? I think we just got to be more intentional to reach out to where we can form a brotherhood in the bond.
Wow, I like that word.
I'm listening to the show, enjoying the show.
Awesome. Thank you for calling, Marathon. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead to our, we have another caller, Gary. Gary, are you there?
Dr. Connor, this is Dr. Gary Hunter.
Hey.
To the first lady and to the queens of the air, I want to ask a question to provoke the thought about how do we deal with men. And I want to say this right so the women don't attack me. Men who fail to realize the value of their manhood with strong women. And you said you had to come to some vulnerability. And those of you who don't know this gentleman, not only is he stellar everything that the First Lady said, but if you see him, you swear he's straight out of GQ, and a small stature with great mind. And I just want to compliment you publicly for all the good work that you've done and do, and how you always know how to speak and respect people. I want to say that, but my real question to you from a thought-provoking way is, what do we do for a man to stand up like a man and not look like he's weak, as opposed to, and we talk about it amongst ourselves, First Lady, but the question here, how do we get men to not be ashamed of saying no to a woman, or not hunting down, or whatever, however you want to say it? You said you have to give some vulnerability to that, but and a lot of people don't realize the value of a good man, and a lot of men, Marathon talks about things with men. Half of that is because men don't know how to get them down to each other. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Dr. Connor, can you answer this question?
Well, thank you for the kind words, Reverend Hunter. I would say
us as men, a lot of times we don't have standards and principles that we live by. It's just do whatever, wherever the wind blows, we go. We have to really develop what our standards are, what our principles, what our irrefutable laws, by what we will not cave into, what we will not be beset by. A double-minded man, as scripture says, is unstable in all of his ways. And so a man that has a made-up mind is more important than his muscles, his Mercedes, his phone book full of ladies, all of that stuff. He has to, as Bishop T.D. Jakes said, get in touch with his he-motions. Where am I at in the state of my mind? And where am I in my life? God said after Adam sinned in the garden, he asked Adam a question, Adam, where are you? And I think that's the question that it is for us as men. Where are we in our lives? Where are we with our family? Where are we in our community? Where are we interpersonally? Where are we when it comes to dealing with our pain and our trauma and the things that we have silenced so much so that we have not addressed and appropriated with. You know, oftentimes as men, we're more like Clark Kent than Superman. We're more like T'Challa than Black Panther. We're more like David Banner than the Hulk. You know, I think we have to recognize and realize that a man is about more than just wanting the needs of sex, silence, and a sandwich. He's got interpersonal issues. He's got things that oftentimes he has buried, and we have to dig deep and really unravel the part and the piece of our soul that oftentimes we have silenced.
Wow. Thank you for that, Dr. Connor. Thank you, Gary, so much for calling. We Got Issues.
Follow-up question?
Well, you know what? We have some other guests that are on. So is it a quick one, Gary?
It's a quick one.
Okay.
It's a quick one.
Okay.
Go for it.
How do you not be ashamed of standing strong when so many men want to be with good women but afraid to be strong?
Yeah, you know, I think one thing is that we as men, I don't think matter of fact, you can't spell mentor without men. Mentorship is not solely from older to younger. As we get older as men, we still need mentors. Today's the last day of Mental Health Awareness Month. You can't spell mental health without men heal. And I think one of the main aspects of what we have to do is we have to be conscientious. We have to be intentional about forming relationships with our brothers, because in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So we got to address it. We got to confess it. We got to speak to it and heal from it.
Thank you. Thank you. So powerful. Thank you again, Gary, for calling in. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 910 AM, the Superstation. Our guest is Dr. Eddie Connor. Right after the break, he's going to talk to us about what's in his book, The Mask of Masculinity. We'll be right back after this break. We're back. We're back. And you're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We're so excited to have our guest, Dr. Eddie Conner, is with us on today. And he is talking about his newest book, his 14th book, The Mask of Masculinity, How Men Can Reclaim Their Identity, Lead and Love with Vulnerability. And when I say that's such a powerful title. So I'm going to throw it to the girlfriends. If you have questions that you want to ask Dr. Conner.
I have a question. I'm super interested in your audience reaction to this book. Do you get more audience participation and questioning from women, or do you get more questions from men? And when you look at the questions that women ask and the questions that men ask, are you excited about what they are? Are men very reserved? I'm interested in people's reception.
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, I'm really getting a healthy balance of both. It's a lot of brothers who have been following me who have never really spoken up, who said, "Hey, you know, this is a perfect book for me. I'm definitely going to support." Just those little tidbits. I'm not going to go into a whole lot, but you get a sister. Oh, I thank you so much for writing this. It's going to be a great book for my man. It's going to be a great book for my son. You know, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to really include in the book, you know, some powerful aspects for men, but also for women, for men developing our emotional intelligence, you know, for effective communication, overcoming struggles that stifle us for success. And then what our women can learn in the book, you know, the mindset of a man. How to create a safe space for your man to open up and be vulnerable with you. Because oftentimes when a man is going through something, this is what you hear. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing,
So,
right.
So
Exactly.
learning the needs of a man, also how to nurture his true nature. And I define man as a mature, assertive nurturer. Oftentimes nurturing is only ascribed to women, but us as men, when we get in touch and tap into our emotions and our reality and honor our humanity, we'll be able to be vulnerable enough to nurture. Right.
And you know, Dr. Conner, just listening to, you know, what you just said, you know, this really is a book for both men and women. You know, at first I was thinking, oh, finally, a manual for men to get in touch with their emotions and know how to, you know, be vulnerable. But now, you know, listening to you, it really is a manual for us as women, how to support that and how to nurture that. So I'm so glad you said that. And even, you know, as we are raising, you know, for mothers that are raising maybe as single parents, or even if both parents are in the house, I think this is a great conversation that will even help as their young boy grows and matures, so that, you know, when they get older, they don't feel like, you know, I'm too strong to cry. And I always say, well, if God didn't intend for men to cry, why did he waste giving them tear ducts? I mean, that's something he didn't have to give them. So I'm so glad that you're really expounding on how this can also be helpful to women sharing with their significant other. Gloria?
I want to add on to that some advice that I'd like you to talk to Dr. Eddie, because, you know, women will hear this book and they will know that their man needs to hear this book. But there's one thing to give a book. It's another thing to present a book in a way in which they're interested enough to listen or read it. You know what I mean? So what advice would you give to some women, not for their sons, but more for their men, to present it in a way in which he'd be open to reading it?
That's a good question.
That's really good. That's really good. You know, I really specifically wanted to release this book in the month of June. June is Men's Health Awareness Month. Also, June, of course, marks Father's Day. And so, you know, being able to give a gift to a man, especially, isn't, you know, not just, I'm giving you this book in October because it's Halloween. You need to take off the mask, honey. You've been wearing a mask and it ain't even on Halloween. So,
right.
So I wanted to really preface it and really just use it as a gift to really gauge. And because the thing is this, I think women must understand that there's a kid in every king. There's a broken boy in a man oftentimes, whether it's father wounds, whether it's mother wounds. And oftentimes if we don't heal, we'll bleed on people who didn't cut us. And so being able for him
Right.
to, being able to allow your man to be into a place of emotional intimacy. And oftentimes us as men, we fear emotional intimacy because we're emotionally incarcerated. We're living in a psychological prison without bars because we've been told, as you said, Lady Chrisette, don't cry, don't express, don't open up.
Right.
All of that is feminine.
That's right.
You want to appear strong so much. But this is just a tool to say, hey, you know what? I champion you. I can speak to, yes, the kid and the king in you. I champion you as a champion. I encourage you. And this is a book that's just going to be a support to all of the greatness and the strength that you have internally.
Wow, that's so powerful. Sabrina?
So the book is more of an olive branch than a whip.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's so good, Dr. Connor. We love when you're on the show. You add such value. The topics are so good, the things that you cover. And when Gloria asked that question, I think as a woman, we've got to be okay with confronting these issues. Let's talk about it. And I think a good exercise are for couples and married people to read together. This would be a great read together and have a discussion. And so, I mean, we're not pointing the finger at him, and they shouldn't point the finger at us. We all got issues, right? That's why we have this show. We all have issues. There are no perfect people allowed. But I think if we don't talk about all the things that matter most to those who we love the most, we never find resolution. We never. And so we just thank you for giving us tools to make us better in marriage, relationships. You should see me. I'm texting cousins. I'm texting my husband. Are you show? Are you watching the show? And he just texted me back, yes, dear. Yes, dear. My boys, well, can we catch it later? Well, can we catch it? Yeah,
Right.
you can catch it later. And so, but that is true. It's like you're talking the talk that we want to hear. We know it's valuable. When you talk about getting in touch with emotions, we're going to definitely read the book, buy the book. You're going to tell us where to get the book, how we can access it. But talk a little bit about being vulnerable, but being okay with taking that mask off. How do we create a better, safe place for that to happen?
That's so good. And you know, when you talk about your show, especially We've Got Issues, you say issues about 3 or 4 or 5 times. You're gonna slip up and say is you. And for us as men, being able to look at the man in the mirror and know that God has healing tissues for our hurting issues is really what it's all about. And I think one thing, especially to really open men up, is the whole aspect of participating in something that he enjoys. That's one thing. You know, if we know the NBA finals are getting ready to come on, and I told y'all travel so much, y'all travel more than James Harden, who plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. Being able to, you know, watch the game with them, even though you may not have a vested interest in it, taking interest in something that interests him is important. What is his, whether it's his favorite food, whether it's his favorite excursion, whether it's favorite activity, participating in it with it. Honey, I'm gonna come to the gym with you today. He looking at you like you half crazy, like, girl, what you doing? Come on then, right? And now you asking him questions. How do you do this? Why did they call a foul on that? Right now, it puts him in a place to where he's in a place of teaching, but it's also that, wow, she takes a level of interest in what I'm doing. Now let me show reciprocity. That also begins to open him up, I believe, in a safe space and place to be able to communicate beyond just basketball. But now it's about maybe a beloved community, or what you think about this, or what other topic that you have. You know, it's to a certain degree, again, that's that olive branch that now I'm able to open you up a little bit to where you're not just callous and cold, but now you can become compassionate.
That's so good. So, Dr. Connor, can you talk to us? And I know we're coming up on a break, but can you talk to us? How did you do research for the book? Did you talk to some men? I mean, where did you get the information that's in your book?
Oh, great question. You know, I dedicate the book in the beginning part of the book. I dedicate it to a lot of pastors and leaders and mentors who were there for me when I almost wasn't there for myself, when I wanted to throw in the towel, when I wanted to give up. And so I began to get on the phone, have lunch, just communicate and have conversation about what is their definition of manhood. And they look at me like, you already a grown man. I said, but still, we need to learn some of these things. And, some of them had a hard time expressing it. Some of them had a feeling about certain things. And some of them were just, very, very surprised that, the questions were asked. And so I was telling them about the book that I would be writing. Of course, doing research, whether it is about statistics with men in life. And we're seeing a number of men who are struggling with depression, struggling with pornography, struggling with addiction, just in a psychological cesspool, and looking at how we can break that generational curse and really transpire it into generational blessing. So a lot of research, a lot of prayer, and a lot of study.
Wow, that is so powerful. You're listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. Our guest today is Dr. Eddie Connors. We're talking about the mask of masculinity. Call us if you have a comment or a question, 313-778-7600. We'll be right back after this break. We're back. We are back. And you're listening to We Got Issues on 910 AM, the Superstation. What a rich conversation we have been having with Dr. Eddie Connor and his new book entitled The Mask of Masculinity. We have a caller. Robert, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'd like to say thank you for having me, and thank Dr. Connor for
discussing this issue. This is something that's deeply needed for men. It was needed for me because I grew up in an era where men never showed their emotion. I never heard my father tell me he loved me. Right. To the day he died. So my question to you is this. There are a lot of truths that we possess as men in terms of what manhood means, such as, we are naturally created to produce. And a lot of times men aren't able to produce in a manner that they would like to. So my question is, you hit on something that is very significant. We should focus on the spiritual aspect, the spiritualistic aspect. And what started the point of you coming to terms with, manhood isn't defined from an external standpoint, but from an internal, spiritual and internal standpoint. And what got you to the level of comfort of being able to be vulnerable with your significant other or wife, I'm assuming? Yeah, that's a great question.
I really had to take a deep look at my pride, had to look at my pain, had to also look at my purpose. And it took me years to really get to this place here. This is not something that happened overnight. It was through a lot of difficult nights of the bitterness that I had, towards my father, projecting anger onto my mother for standing in proxy for an absentee father. The pain of what I went through with cancer and relationships, things that I did not do right. I had to find my own freedom from emotional incarceration and really intergenerational trauma that I was covering with money. I was covering with suits. I was covering with all this other stuff, the facade, the mask of what it all was. And really being able to peer behind that mask, look at the man in the mirror, not just look at the beauty, but also look at the ugly of not blame shifting, but taking ownership. This is what I did. I had to be accountable for my own life and myself. And I really believe, being a man, yes, it's hard work, but it's heart work. And the heart work comes from looking into the mirror to see past our suit, into our soul, beyond our money, seeing into our mentality. And, I champion you for, looking at all of those things and the maladaptive connotation, what masculinity is all about. I think we just got to redo what masculinity is. We have to redefine it. We have to reinvigorate it. We also have to move into a place of healed masculinity, or we'll also live in a place of toxicity. And then we'll hurt our loved ones, our significant other, and our friends.
Wow. Robert, thank you so much for calling us and with your question. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, brother.
So I know we're fastly coming to the close of the show. So Dr. Conner, if you could, in the next few minutes that we have, and I know, the book is filled with a plethora of things that men and women can do to help remove the mask. But what would your top 3 be if you were going to, do a mask of masculinity, the short version? What would be the top 3 that you would suggest?
That's a great question. And I have about 12 tips in the book towards the end of the book that really galvanize and give that. I think one thing is that we've really got to develop our relationship with God as men. Women, brothers, sisters can't just be the only ones who are worshipers. Brothers have to be worshipers as well as warriors. And in worship and our prayer and our study time is when God refreshes us. Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Things aren't just going to leave by osmosis. We have to actively and proactively put it away each and every single day. Anything that's maladaptive, anything that comes in context and in contrast with who it is that we are. We have a mandate to really manifest who it is that we are in our purpose, and that is in our relationship with God. Another thing I think we have to do as well, I think we have to forgive to live. As men, we often bottle up our bitterness. We harbor hatred, and now we channel it into competitive nature and drive. We compete with our other brothers rather than collaborating and complimenting who it is that we are. We compete in our relationships. I'm the man. I got a chest beat. I got to flex my machismo and my bravado and let you know where you stand in place. It's beyond words, it's about our actions and being able to forgive. You can't really forgive. You can't really live until you forgive. Forgiveness is the fragrance, as Mark Twain said, that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. And so being able to turn our pain into power is through the prism and the aspect of forgiveness. And then last but not least, I think honoring our humanity is so important. As men, we focus so much on our profession that we forget about who we are as a person. We're not a human doing, we are a human being. And being able to honor our emotions, honor our humanity, express and say, yes, this hurt, this disappointed me, and not feel that you're in a place of being effeminate or less than or weak as a man, but you're just in touch with who it is that you are, because you can feel the infirmities just of your own self, but also of others. And so being able to lead with love, we love, as men, we lead best when we love most. And that's what we have to remember.
So good. So rich, so rich. Dr. Connors, in the last minute or so that we have, talk to us about or share with our audience how they can get this latest book.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, Queens, for the opportunity, the space and place to be able to share. Listen, we can't do it on our own as men without powerful women like yourself, phenomenal women like yourself. So I know we get on y'all nerves sometimes. I know you can't spell men without menopause and menstruation.
Talk about it.
So keep praying. We coming around the mountain. Here we come. This is God's doing something new in the lives of men. So your labor is not in vain. The revolution not only be televised, it'll be digitized. So please go to my website, dreddieacademy.com/men. You can get more information about it. I've got a powerful video there that I share, which really encapsulates it. It's available for pre-order right now, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Audible. It's coming out everywhere, June 14th, Tuesday, June 14th, right before Juneteenth and right before, of course, Father's Day. And so it makes a great gift for your brother, your son, your father, your husband, your man, and your friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to encourage all of you that are listening and watching us on Facebook Live to go ahead, put it on your calendar as an event. You got to go and you got to order this book. And you know what? Be a friend and order it for someone else, because I promise you, this has been such a rich conversation, one that I know is greatly needed and one that we got to continue to talk about. Dr. Connors, you always leave us so empowered, enriched, enlightened, and we so appreciate your time on today. So again, we're going to encourage you guys to go on June 14th?
Yes,
it's
June 14th.
Be released. Okay, June 14th. Yes. Go and get the book, The Mask of Masculinity. Wow, this hour went by so fast. And of course, Dr. Eddie, you are family, so we absolutely will have you come on for part 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay.
I'd be so honored.
You all have been listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation. We'll see you on tomorrow. Blessings. Bye-bye.